All right, welcome back to the final part of our trilogy on Christian marriage. Now, we've been wrestling with a real paradox, haven't we? On one side, love isn't enough, and on the other, covenant love is all you need. Today, we're going to see how both of these are actually true. It's not about having to choose between grace and truth, but learning how to live fully in both.
Okay, let's get right into the heart of this. We all know that even the most sincere love can fall apart without practical skills and some healthy boundaries. But at the same time, our faith tells us that God's covenant love is what carries us when we've got nothing left in the tank. So, what's the deal? Can love truly conquer all, or does it need a toolkit to even survive the journey?
And the answer, the way we bring these two powerful ideas together, is summed up perfectly right here. Dr. John Townsend says it best. The one flesh union that God designed is made from two distinct whole souls. You see, love doesn't just survive, it absolutely thrives when two healthy individuals come together, guided by both truth and wisdom.
So what does that actually look like? What does it really mean to be a healthy individual inside a marriage? Well, Dr. Townsend breaks it down for us into three core elements that create this incredibly powerful triad.
It all boils down to these three things: sacrificial love, genuine freedom, and personal responsibility. Just think about it for a second. Love without freedom, that's just control. And love without responsibility, that becomes enabling. For a marriage to really flourish, you have to have all three working in balance. It's all about two complete people forming one healthy union.
Let's just zero in on that idea of freedom for a second. The Bible is so clear that Christ came to set us free, and that freedom is absolutely vital within a marriage. When one person feels controlled by the other, real love just can't grow. It suffocates. The dynamic shifts from a partnership of equals into, well, something else entirely.
So if the goal is to protect both that sacrificial love and our individual freedom, how in the world do we do it? Well, the answer is found in one of the most misunderstood and honestly most important concepts in any relationship: boundaries. Now, I want you to think about boundaries not as these giant walls you build to keep your spouse out. That's not it at all. Think of them like the property lines around your own soul. They help you know what's your responsibility, your feelings, your choices, your attitudes, and what is not. And paradoxically, defining and protecting your own property actually makes the marriage safer and way more intimate for both of you. And this is a fantastic way to see how it works in practice. In any marriage, some things are negotiable, right? Things like who does which chores or how you handle the budget for fun stuff. But other things, the things rooted in our core biblical values, well, those are non-negotiable. And it is so important for every couple to get clear on that distinction. And here's why something like deception is such a deal breaker. True intimacy, the kind we all crave, comes from being fully known and fully loved. But lying, deception, it completely demolishes the foundation of the relationship because it makes that authentic connection impossible. You can't even begin to work on a problem if one person is denying it exists. Okay, but let's be real here. Even with the best boundaries on the planet, conflict is going to happen. It just is. What separates the couples that make it from the ones that don't, according to all the research, isn't that they avoid conflict. It's that they have mastered the art of repair. And look at this number. It's absolutely staggering. Dr. John Gottman's research found that a whopping 90% of couples who regularly fall into destructive patterns of conflict and then fail to repair the damage end up divorcing. That's how critical this skill is. It's a make-or-break deal. Gottman famously identified these as the 4 horsemen that predict a marriage is headed for collapse. You've got criticism, which is attacking your partner's very character; contempt, which is just communicating disgust; defensiveness, always making excuses; and finally stonewalling, which is just shutting down completely. When these 4 move in, they poison the friendship that's supposed to be at the very heart of the marriage.
So here it is. This is the secret weapon of the couples that succeed. It's not about being perfect and never fighting. It's all about what happens after the fight. It's about having that recovery conversation. It's about learning to start arguments gently, and it's about making the decision that repairing your connection is way more important than winning the argument. Okay, so this all leads us to one final and I think the most transformative idea of all. We've talked about skills and boundaries and repair, but what if the ultimate purpose of marriage isn't really about our personal happiness at all?
What if God has something much deeper, much more profound in mind for us?
In his incredible book, Sacred Marriage, author Gary Thomas asked this game-changing question. Just let that sink in. This idea reframes everything. It suggests that marriage is one of God's primary workshops for our spiritual growth. It's like a spiritual discipline designed specifically to shape us and make us more like Jesus.
And just to be super clear, this isn't about choosing holiness instead of happiness. Not at all. The point is actually the opposite. Pursuing holiness, learning to love and forgive and serve your spouse, even when it's really, really hard. That is the very path that leads to the deepest, most lasting, and most resilient kind of joy there is.
So this perspective completely shifts our goal. We stop searching for a mythical soulmate who's supposed to complete us based on a feeling. Instead, we focus on becoming a soulmate, someone who is committed, day in and day out, to sacrificial love and mutual growth, grounded in a promise, not just a passing emotion. So we've talked about some huge ideas here: boundaries, repair, holiness. But what do we do with them? How do we bring all of this home, literally? Well, it all starts with some really honest, personal reflection. So first, let's check our foundation. We have to ask ourselves, am I in this marriage for what I can get out of it, or for what I can give? Is my love a reflection of my own needs, or is it a reflection of God's sacrificial love for me? Next up, let's talk about courage. Where does truth need to be spoken in love? Real love doesn't just sweep things under the rug. It has the courage to address the boulders in the relationship, not to start a fight, but because you genuinely want to be closer. And what about accountability? This one's tough because it's so much easier to see our spouse's faults. But real, meaningful growth only begins when we stop pointing the finger and start looking in the mirror, taking responsibility for our part in the dance. And finally, this is the question that gets right to the heart of all of Gottman's research. In the heat of an argument, when emotions are high, what is your ultimate goal? Is it to be right, or is it to be reconciled? The answer you give in that moment makes all the difference in the world. So here it is, the ultimate takeaway from our entire series. Love is absolutely essential. But that love thrives when it's combined with wisdom, truth, and God's presence. And the amazing part is that the journey doesn't start by trying to fix your spouse. It starts with you, by allowing God to make you a holier, healthier person. This week, my prayer for you is that you carry both grace and truth into your home.